have at it. Hey everybody, I'm an addict named Kevin. One of the reasons that I'm really honored to be able to introduce the speaker. First time I met this person was in Jackson's Mill, West Virginia in 1987. And we went to that convention in the fall together. And I always remember that was the year there was a lot of wildfires here in West Virginia. And the whole place was so smoky that I sometimes kid that I really didn't even know what he looked like till a year later because it was so smoky I couldn't see him. But we started talking on the phone, and our friendship developed. And, eventually Stan asked me to be his sponsor. And, we talk about, you hear that slogan over and over and over again, it works if we work it. And one of the things that I am just so pleased with is that this, Stan works it. And, I've been sponsoring him for a long time, somewhere like 17, 18 years, something to that effect. And I've truly seen this particular person grow. It's been unbelievable, the growth and the change. And that truly is what recovery is about to me, is to come in here broken and beat down and learn how to grow and become a responsible member of society. And this man here has done just that, and he keeps sticking here. He stays. We work steps together. We talk regularly. And the bottom line is that I feel very honored and very privileged to have him as a sponsee. And most of all, I'm more honored and privileged just to have him as my friend. Because I don't know about anybody else, but I couldn't keep any kind of friendships or relationships out there in active addiction. And here I've got a friend that's been a part of my life for 21 years. And I thank God every day for that. So without anything else, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Stan.
Good evening, family. I'm an addict named Stan. At first when I saw the little green registration or the agenda for the convention, it said Stanley on there, and I thought, oh, good, they got the wrong guy. Okay, I got a free room out of the deal, though. That was. It is truly an honor. It is higher power's will for any of us to be here. The theme of the convention is expect a miracle, and that's already happened. That's already happened. Every one of us in this room is a miracle just by showing up. We're miracles. First of all, there's a couple thanks I wanted to express, and it's to the Mountaineer Region members of Narcotics Anonymous. Truly, you have no idea how much this is an honor for me, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. This program of recovery for some of us is that, we believe that our higher power only gives us what we can handle, like when we're ready for that, though that's like a really difficult thing. So I just thought, why did it have to wait so long? No, honestly, this is the first convention that I've ever spoken at as a speaker. So the only time I've done anything to, for a crowd like this in NA was playing with the band at the NA convention in Detroit in '92. So they didn't give you a room, but they paid you some cash for it. So So I don't know about that 7 tradition thing. Sorry about that, guys. I needed to make my electric bill. You know, life begins when we walk through the door. You know, we just walk through the door of the room, and we're walking in. I don't know about anybody else, but there wasn't anybody like with me when I walked through the doors. So I had no idea who was going to be there, what to expect. It was, pretty surreal experience. And so I like to share about that. I also wanted to share how important it is that that the most important person at any meeting, that at every meeting, is the newcomer. You know, you are the most important person at every NA meeting, any NA meeting, wherever that meeting is at. That is, you know, we're so glad you're here. We've been waiting for you. You know, some of us, like, you know, we pray for you when we close our meetings, and so when you show up, you know, it's like, you know, it's just like we're amazed that another addict made it through the doors. I mean, it's huge, absolutely. You know, it's a miracle. You know, it's a miracle. Additionally, I wanted to express my deepest condolences to the NA members, here in this region, or us who travel many miles to get here, who love and have deep friendships with the wonderful human beings that hold these conventions for us. So I wanted to express deepest condolences to all my friends and Patty G's family also. It will be sorely missed, and just tributes, the messages from the members that knew her. It's a miracle when we can die clean. And it's a perspective that we get about what this is all about. It's about life. It's about living life, whatever that life is. And Narcotics Anonymous, simply can give us an opportunity to have a life. And whatever that is. And for that, I'm, eternally grateful too. And I wanted to share a little bit about that too as time goes on. We all are miracles. I'm a miracle. I'm a miracle. There was a meeting that I went to, in early recovery, in just south of Detroit, right on the Detroit line with Lincoln Park, and it was my first meeting. And came to the elevator, because the meeting's on the second floor in a cafeteria, and there's this guy. He was standing there and waiting for the elevator too, and he looked at me, and I just thought, like, what the hell are you looking at? And then he smiled. He goes, "You here for NA?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Is this your first time?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Are you gonna love it?" Then he gave me a hug. I thought, oh shit. What am I getting into here? That was the first introduction, to walking into a room. So there was already, even before walking into the room, before getting to the second floor, there was already like love being showed, by another human being, and that was, it was amazing. I remember sitting down, and you see our meetings in Michigan, and for some of my sisters and brothers from Western Wayne and Tri-City area that are here, will tell you that our meetings are totally different in format than any meeting in the world, any NA meeting in the world, because we have, like, depending on the size of the people, how many people, size of the people, yeah. Guys, these big, huge midgets. But you see, there might be up to 6 meetings going on in one meeting room. So it's like if you're there to listen, good luck, because you're going to be asked to share. It's almost implied. So that was like my first experience, was sitting down, and hearing the readings. And the readings were like they talked about God. And, my belief, at that time was like hardcore, absolute atheism. So when I heard the word like God in the readings, and everybody's like listening, and the stuff made sense, but that God thing like really it creeped me out, really. It was like, oh man, like whatever's in that like coffee pot or those like drink containers in there, ain't touching that stuff. That was it was like that. It was like that. And I remember they did the key tag ceremony, and they were like, at that meeting the surrender tag is first, so they're kind of like, Oh yeah, but when I walked into the room, I asked where the non-smoking section was, and 50 people left. There was 51 people there, including me. So I just thought, oh great, I'm supposed to like get drug-free, but I'm supposed to, I'm going to get cancer, emphysema, heart disease, I can get that at the bar too. Okay. It was all a scam. It was a scam. It was a lie. The people getting up for the clean time, it was like, that is not possible. There is no way somebody's going to get like 30 days from dope. It ain't going to happen. And then they went on, 60, 90. Like, this is like... And there was a guy who stood up for 2 years that night. And I'm just thinking, this is like, I'm definitely not drinking what's in those drink containers now, man. Because they're all like delusional. This is like, there's some like, mass psychosis going on here. But there was a guy at the table I sat at, and he was sweating. He was sweating, and his hand was shaking as he was putting the dollar in the basket. And I remember he shared that he had 2 weeks clean. He was the only honest person in that freaking meeting. Everybody else was lying, And since it was in a hospital, I was asking, like, so where do I sign in? I had no idea. I mean, I only heard about you guys like years before, and and it was like in a really condescending way. So, that I belonged there. So the guy said, "Oh no, you don't have to sign into the hospital. Just here's some literature, and here's our phone numbers, and come back tomorrow. Yeah, one of these meetings over here, and then we'll tell you what to do next." And but I remember when I got that list of phone numbers, I thought, I ain't calling these guys, because you see, then they'll like ask me for my number, and then they'll ask like what my work schedule is, and then they're gonna come over and hit on my old lady while I'm at work. And my wife, sorry. So, anyway, let me share about today. I got up this morning about 6 o'clock, and what I do typically on Sunday is Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, I go for a 7-mile run. You know, I've been doing this for like years. And so that's what I did this morning. And believe me, if anybody's a runner here and you run that road, if you run in West Virginia, you know, it's like, whoa. So this is this is a torture I put myself through, 2 times a year if I'm lucky, to be here. And it's just a spectacular scene when you see the sun rising over one of these, ridges and stuff. It's just absolutely beautiful. So that was the start of my day. There was an addict, that was at front, and he said, "Oh, you missed the morning meditation." And I said, "Well, well, my meditation is going to take a little bit longer than that anyway." So I got to know some cows and stuff on the road here. This is just a beautiful place for a convention. I was sharing with Rick that you guys picked a beautiful spot for this convention whenever that was put together. And today was spent going to workshops and trying to calm down, and because when I got here yesterday, man, I was like nervous. I was thinking man, I'm in Ripley and I'm nervous. Like, what's up with that? Kevin gave me the benefit of some of his time today, because you see, we're not obligated, to rescue anybody or to put, our schedule down for anybody. I mean, it's respectful to ask, can I have some of your time today, instead of just demanding it because I'm having if you got a crisis, yeah, okay. But I hope it's not the same crisis twice, okay? Don't get me wrong, I'm, the king of, clean time crisis. There's a whole brotherhood of kings in crisis and, in clean time recovery, okay? And the food. Isn't the food amazing? Food. Okay, all right, okay. All right. What the hell? You went right there, okay. Only if you have a year less, so otherwise you have to pass it down, okay. Yesterday morning, okay, so I'm going to share about yesterday. So it's like 5:30, I get up, and this is Friday, and then the phone rings about 7 o'clock, and it's Ron B. from Philadelphia. He goes, "Hey man, you ready for Ripley?" Yeah, we're getting ready, man. It's going to take us 7 hours. So it was cool. And then there was supposed to be somebody to ride with me, and then, of course I had to call them to be informed that they're not coming. Which was fine. I got to fight with my CD player on the way here. But for the first time in a long time, I stopped at the cemetery in Erie and visited my parents' grave, my parents' burial site, and meditated for about 30 seconds on Lake Erie before I hit the road and came down here, and it set the tone. It's like the experience of a really good NA convention starts like when you lock your front door. Hopefully you don't lock your keys in the house and then your car key. But okay, I think somebody's done that before. Right there. Okay, I went to a meeting one time, and I think I had about 60 days clean, and my then wife took her kids and my kids, and they went shopping, and I come back from this meeting, I'm thinking oh yeah, I'm pumped up, I got 60 days clean, and then there's cop cars in front of the apartment complex. I'm thinking oh yeah, well, it's that kind of an apartment complex, but it's all I could afford, and I'm coming up, and my wife is crying, and somebody broke into the apartment and stole all her shit while she was shopping. I was at an NA meeting, so I don't know if that's happened to anybody. So didn't use over that. Didn't have to use over that. was born in Toledo, Ohio, and my parents, they had just emigrated. They came to the U.S. in 1952, and they were refugees from Poland. My parents met. I found a lot of information out after, like, my father died, but my mother was a major in the Polish resistance during World War II, and my father was a lieutenant in the Polish army. Of course, we had no idea until after Dad died that he would have had to salute Mom. And that repeats itself again in our family. But my daughter's the same way. She's like up for commission, and her husband's a first sergeant in the Air Force. So we'll see how that works out. But they came over here with 2 kids and 1 on the way, and they came here broken. They met in a death camp known as Auschwitz, or in Polish it's Oświęcim. And my mother had witnessed, a good several 100,000 people being murdered, and my father similarly also. And before that, before his captivity, by the German forces, he was also in Russian captivity. So they came over here. My mother's entire family was wiped out. They all died in the bombing of Warsaw in the first days of September in '39. So, we weren't even supposed to be in this country. A lot of Polish immigrants went to Canada or Argentina or Australia. Some really cool places. But and they had to pick Toledo, Ohio, of all places. And bless them for that. Isn't it amazing when a town gets like really pretty after you leave? Okay. But and then, they decided to raise all of us kids in the Polish language, which was like really bizarre if you don't live in a Polish neighborhood. Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay. And so it was kind of weird speaking Polish and then stepping out, and then all of a sudden there's like another language. I'm born here, and so this is not like a real, maybe it was an American story before. Maybe I know I'm not the first. But then we go across the street, and and then this was even more bizarre. Dad was born in Mexico, but he spoke English. But Mom was born in Texas, and she didn't speak English. So I was raised on tortillas across the street. Tortillas and pierogi. Here we are, these kids that are speaking a hybrid mixture of Polish and Spanish. We hardly knew, some of the older kids spoke English, and then so when I went to kindergarten, I could read and write and speak Polish, but I couldn't speak, I couldn't read and write in English, so when the teacher did the alphabet thing, instead of A, it was A, B, C, E, D. I'm going, and she's going like, oh no, that's A, B, C. So right away there was signals that, man, there's something ain't right. There's something different here. It's like, why am I, feeling all this embarrassment about not knowing this stuff, and I got this teacher putting out signals that I'm not okay. That was some pretty intimidating stuff. So, I had a sister of mine, and she her whole mission the next summer before first grade was to teach me English. The family, quite an interesting process with the family because. At this point we have a few different 12-step programs represented in our family. And, so there's talk of us having like a family 12-step meeting in July. Somebody else too. There was, when I was a kid, I remember seeing the Beatles on TV. If anybody ever heard of the Beatles? And I'm thinking like, now that's what I want to do for a living. So that was like one of my childhood dreams. Like, man, I want to be like them. And then when the Monkees came out, it was like, yeah, okay. They dress really cool. Okay. But the thing is, my experience as an addict is, we're looking for something. I mean, before we come into these rooms, we're looking for a good deal. We're looking to score. We're looking not to get ripped off. We're looking to hang out with people who are safe to get high with. We're looking for a safe place to get high. We're looking for somebody that's going to understand us and not judge us. And so all this childhood stuff was like, was pretty good fodder for, finding affiliation with, something in common with somebody else that's, taking care of, dealing with pain in their life. As a first grader, my parents were collecting all these silver dollars. They had this little antique wooden vase, and they had all these silver dollars in there. Of course, I seen them put that money in there. I'm 6 or 7 years old, and I seen them putting that money in there. And I remember some of the kids at school, their mom and dads would give them money. And then they could go to this place where all the teenagers and stuff, or the kids hung out. They had jukeboxes and candy. People would go for lunch. They get permission slips from their mom and dad. Well, that never happened. They didn't give me money for shit. So I just thought, well, you know what? I know where I can get some money. And, and I seen my mom's signature before. So at age 7, I'm putting together a permission note from my mom that Stanley is allowed to go to Teen Town during lunch, and then I'd get me a pocket full of those silver dollars, and I'd be buying candy, getting some sweet tarts, I think the guy behind the counter's going like, yeah, all right, I'll give you 4 quarters for that, sure. So it started pretty early, stealing, forging signatures, If somebody would have said something earlier then, I could have been a newcomer a long time ago. And of course, I wanted money. You got to have money. If you live in America, you have to have money. How can you do anything if you don't have money? So I started cutting grass, pulling weeds at the neighbors, and then the Catholic churches have these fairs. They'll have gambling and bingo. They got beer tent. They'll have the band play and stuff. And if some kid shows up at the gambling table, puts his money on the table, they're not going to, adults are supposed to say, hey, don't do that. Well, they had no problem with me putting my money on the table and, rolling the dice and even winning a couple quarters. So, you see, even that whole gambling thing started early, so, and I love that stuff. The pain was when all the money was gone, when the candy was gone, when I got busted by my mom, and then that word about when Tata gets home, you're gonna get it. So so that whole element of fear, that never went away. That never went away. So they bought me a guitar. Like, wow, this is a really bad guitar, but I decided, man, I'm going to learn how to play this thing. And so by the time I'm at 5th grade, I'm playing, in church, before school. And eventually it got a little amp and an electric guitar and started, playing these little shows and stuff. And I just thought, 8th grade, by the time that rolled around, I was already making money. I was in this band with these guys from high school. It was, so that has not, that dream has not left. Okay, all right. Get rid of these. Okay. So here's like another American experience, right? Everybody goes to Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, So in Cub Scouts, there was a guy that, the Cub Scout wife's, the Cub Scout leaders. I'm sorry. The leader was Mrs. Armstrong, and her husband would say, like, "Hey, we don't want your Pollock money here." When I was paying dues, So it was like. There's just a reinforcement of like, hey, we don't want you, you're no good. Those signals, hit pretty deep and pretty hard. So, those self-esteem issues that we have when we come in these rooms where we don't feel like we're good enough, those hit home. For the newcomer, if you're in pain, this is the place to share your pain. Make the call, get to a meeting, meet your sponsor, meet a member, get into these rooms, get in here and stay in here, whatever it takes for you to get through that pain. See, you can do that here. See, that's what the program is for. And hopefully the fellowships, will support you and stay with you while you're in your pain. But you got to meet us here. For us to go out on a rescue mission to find you could be fatal to us. So, that's just my my opinion for the newcomer. Get here. Whatever it takes to get clean. Okay. All right. High school, anyway, so my parents sent me to this Polish Boy Scout group. Never been there. All of a sudden, you're going to summer camp. You're going to this Polish Boy Scout group, and I'm thinking like, what? I had all these badges with the Cub Scouts, and now you're sending me with all these Polish kids who don't want to be there, and. But by the end of that camp, I met this guy. He asked me if I ever toked up, and I said, "Oh yeah, of course." Well, let's and I used, for the seriously for the first time. And then my parents sent me out of town to another. They sent me across the state line from Erie, Michigan, to Toledo for high school, and all of a sudden, I met 3 people out of the class of 600 who got high. It was like we found each other right away. By the graduation, there was only 3 people that weren't getting high. So, the Pied Piper of, like turning you on, I was, loved to be in on that one. As long as, you had something left for me. Back in the 60s, there was a TV show called Dragnet, and it was about these detectives in LA that go around, busting bad guys, some black and white, back in the day, the days of the dinosaurs walked the earth, we had black and white TV. and Agent, Webb goes, or this guy, he goes, I think his name was Monday, and he goes like, Friday, Monday, okay. And Gannon. Okay. Yeah, all right. Okay, thank you. I've got some help here. Got to get the story straight. So they snatch up this guy, and they go like, are you using those narcotics? And the guy goes, oh man, I've been clean, man, I've been clean. And he goes, you sure you're clean? Yeah, I've been going to Narcotics Anonymous. And, for a 7, 8, 9-year-old to hear, because I heard about, the other fellowship, but when he said Narcotics Anonymous, I thought, oh man, that's pretty creepy stuff. And that's where criminals go. You see, addicts, so it was like, addicts, criminals, yeah, you got to get busted by Friday and by Gannon, All right. I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. So, successfully graduate high school in Toledo, and then, go to Michigan every day, right? I mean, like living on the border. We're all borderline here, right? That was like literal. Right on the border, Jesus. So my father convinces me to join the Army, to get the Vietnam era GI Bill. So, it made sense. I completed 2 years of community college in 1 year so I could get extra rank when I go in the Army. So I joined the Army. I'm able to leave and, go to, travel to California. And then I'm selected to receive an Army commission through Army ROTC. Because I had some college and I looked good in the picture and, I was a good student. My commanding officer wrote a good recommendation. Come home and I immediately get booted out of the program. So what do? You get married. And and you do a lot of dope. Of course, you marry somebody that you get high with, and then I joined the Navy. So okay, let's see, this is really twisted, isn't it? The beautiful thing about being in the service, if you're a practicing addict, is you get to travel places, and if you speak their language, you're going to get a good deal on dope. So, by the time, I was a young adult, I pretty much had Spanish mastered also. And, the purpose was, of course, to be like really polite to the Garcias and the Barrientos and the Gutierrez family. But also it was like, hey, the migrant workers, man, they always had good dope. So, so it was like, there was an underlying little, manipulation there. Speak another language, you can get a good deal. So I got sent overseas, and they sent me to a country that just decriminalized certain drugs for certain amounts, providing you're that citizen. This was in Spain. When they started testing for marijuana, I knew that was over, because I could stop all the other stuff, but, they just had some damn good hashish in Spain. So, and it was cheap. I spoke Spanish, and my dealer, I'd watch him shoot up while, he'd produce these pieces of hashish that he smuggled over from Morocco, Africa, up his anus. Of course, they were amazing people, but, they assured me that it was safe. Don't worry about the caballo. Caballo is Spanish for horse. It's like bien puro, really pure. So I try a little of that, my band's demo tape sounded really good on that stuff. But then I would go back into town, because I lived on base, to get some more. Then I realized, I could get addicted to that. Okay, so I'll have to stop that. But eventually, the alarm clock did not go off, and I was told to take a piss test. And then I was told at that time that my clearance was going to be pulled. You see, I happened to be one of a very small amount of American-born native Polish linguists at the time. And I also spoke Spanish almost at a native level too. So having a linguist, having any linguist in your military is like a really cool thing, you know, because, you know, you can find out what your like enemies and other people are doing. So, but you see, but if you give that position to an addict in a country where drugs are fairly available and cheap, then, you know, there's going to be a problem. So, you know, so Houston, we have a problem with Stanley. Because you see, what they did was they gave me another drug test. Of course, they pulled me out of the job. You know, a job that most people were training 3 years for because they had to learn the language and then learn all the electronic equipment. But you see, they had a ringer, man. They had this guy that spoke these couple languages. All they got to do is like make sure that they know like some of the military terms. So typically after 2 positive drug tests are gone, they gave me 9. You know what? Years later, it was like, you know, I think they were thinking like, you know, just stop getting high and come back to work. That led to court-martial. And, you know, court-martial is not a good thing when you have like your wife and kids there, you know, in front of like this military tribunal. And they're reading off the charges, how many times you were high, what you were using, what was in it, you know, it being a disgrace to the U.S. military, U.S. Navy, to the U.S. government, to the citizens of the U.S. You can see the pattern where, you know, here now I'm getting the official word that, you know, I'm a fuck up. It was official now. They even put it on the paper. And it was like, you know, we don't want any more to do with you. You know, you're gone. You're out of here. And got my family back to the States. In the meantime, they made me go, they said, well, you know, you can stay if you opt out for treatment. You know, I mean, they would offer that before the court-martial. I said, oh, no, I don't want no treatment. I don't want your mind control shit. They made me go to meetings of this other fellowship, and they said, well, you just play along. You can say you're an addict, you see, and you can just kind of play along. Of course, I was being introduced to like the 12 steps and all the liars that go to the meetings. And then this was the ringer. This was the biggest insult I heard up to that point in my life. And this guy said that when you get back to the States, you look up Narcotics Anonymous, because that's where people like you belong. You know, and it was like, F you. I don't, no. That's for the guy that got busted by Gannon and Friday. And he further went to say that you can either recover or you could die. Those are your only 2 options for the rest of your life. So, Here's, oh, there, okay. Sorry. Oh, hi. Okay. So I'm hitchhiking back. I got my family in Erie, and I'm hitchhiking back to Virginia Beach because I'm not going to spend any money on a bus or renting a car or taking a train from Toledo to Virginia Beach. I'm going to hitchhike so I can save my money for another run when I get back to Spain. You know, of course, I got a pocket full of dope, and, you know, nobody's giving me a ride at the Stony Ridge exit. I had my wife, you know, drop me off. Yeah, just drop me off here. I'll get a ride. You know, okay, you sure? Yeah. And so I finally got a ride. You know, got high with somebody, and and you know, and I think I creeped this lady out. You know, And then we get to Pennsylvania and no rides. And then finally this guy pulls over and he says, hey, you know where you going? I said, Virginia Beach. You know, this is like when you were Pittsburgh. On a Pennsylvania Turnpike. He goes, you know, there's been a couple hitchhikers murdered on a Pennsylvania Turnpike. And just want to let you know, that's why you've been, you know, I told him I was waiting 4 or 5 hours for a ride. You know, so I thought, oh man, you know, this guy's like really brave, or he's a murderer. This is the tricky part. You know, the guy was telling me that, you know what, you should, I can drop you off on the bus line and catch the city bus, and you know, ask for this number, and then it'll take you to the Greyhound bus station. And then you could take the Greyhound bus from Pittsburgh to Virginia Beach, to Norfolk. You know, and I thought, oh, okay, well that makes sense. You know, I can't wait another 4 or 5 hours for a ride. This is really like ridiculous, you know. And so, you know, I'm reaching in my pocket. I'm going like, you know, I want to give you some of this stuff, you know. And you know, not one of these, but. And the guy goes, no thanks, man. I got a higher power in my life today. I'm going like, this guy really is a kook. Okay, so there's that one. Okay. All right. Learn Spanish to get higher. Okay. I got that one. Okay. Let's see. I have a higher power in my life. Okay. Yeah, when you get back to the States, look up Narcotics Anonymous, because that's where people like you belong. Okay. All right. So, expect a miracle. Okay. So, a few years later, in Detroit, you know, I'm doing up some dope. Just run out. And my sister helped me find a place. You know, there's no jobs in Toledo, so I'm living in, you know, Detroit. I got a job because I spoke Spanish. I lied about my discharge. You know, because the commanding officer said, hey, where are you going home to, son? And I said, Michigan. And he goes, hey, well, good luck finding a job with this discharge in that state. So, you know, of course, I found a job right away. See, so he was an idiot. So, I remember looking in a mirror and telling myself, you know, you're an addict. So we got to go get some more shit, you know. A couple weeks later, though, I'm supposed to be working Saturday. Usually I work Saturdays. Different job. And the dealer's got my car. He's got my money. And at 7:30 in the morning, I'm supposed to be running this customer service crew of like 15 people at 8 o'clock in another part of town. And like my sister lived in the neighborhood. And she goes, Stashi, what are you doing here? Where's your car? And that was like the first time, you know, I admitted to somebody wholeheartedly that, you know, I'm an addict, I need help. You know, I was at a meeting that night in Lincoln Park. And went to another meeting after that first meeting. And there was a guy, he was saying like, yeah, go ahead and use. You'll be back you'll come back crawling on your hands and knees. That sounds like a good idea. Go ahead and use. You know, so be careful about like what you share to newcomers in our meetings, because that was like, I wasn't listening for recovery. I was listening for like an easier way out. You know, it took a while. It took a month, but I last used, you know, February 11th. 1987. NA in Michigan, they were a bunch of idiots. Didn't like anybody. You know, couldn't relate. At the dance, they played the music that my dealers played. I'm going like, this sucks, you know. I was at a meeting, and we started talking about our old friends, and somebody said, hey, if you want to keep your old friends, and if they're really your friends, they'll meet you here. Otherwise, welcome to your new friends. And I'm going like, no, not these idiots. Okay. So, okay. Now, got the basic text. You know, I came up with $8 for the basic text. And I took off the blue cover, and I took some, like, I rubbed it on stuff, like I took some sandpaper and stuff. I wanted to look like I've been here for a while. Read the thing from cover to cover. One of my favorite stories was about the guy who would stand up at meetings and share that he had 6 months clean, you know, so I love liars. Remember seeing this thing called NA Way magazine. It was about the size of the basic text. I thought, oh man, this is kind of like the addition to the basic text. I started reading that, you know, because like, you know, I wasn't getting like, you know, the fellowship, okay, you know, and I remember reading about this new convention that was supposed to be held in Jackson's Mill, West Virginia, in November of '87. I'm going like, hey, you know what? I remember there was this guy who got a 7-year medallion, and I got my 6 months that day, and the guy goes, if you haven't done it clean, you haven't done it yet. You know, so I thought like, well shit, I've never been in West Virginia before, so like I could do it clean for the first time. It'd be like really cool. And so I took off. I didn't tell my boss. I just went, you know, just took off Friday, you know, and I had, I had some explaining to do like Monday morning. Finally made it. Kevin was saying how smoky it was and stuff, and there's a guy that, you know, I pulled in, and the guy goes, oh, you're from Michigan? Yeah. Well, I'm moving to Michigan. Yeah, I'm going to find the sickest group I can find and make it my home group. I'm going like, they got those kooks down here, too. You know, so my experience was, and I met Kevin, you know, and a few other people. And, you know, and my experience was, you know, besides hearing a couple heavy metal tunes at the dance, like, what? They played rock and roll at the dance, yeah, and I have to come back. But at first I had to go to a meeting to share about it because they were playing drug dealer music at the other dances I had. So this is like a first, I can't handle it. So I went to the Marathon meeting, came back, and, you know, and they played some more, you know, hard rock, but. You people were just as nuts and messed up as the people at my meetings in Michigan. Like, man, you know, however, here's the miracle, is the way that my head heard what you said, the readings, all that stuff, you know, in a different accent, you know, that made sense. That made sense. That made sense, you know, and I said, you know, I don't care if, you know, whatever happens up there, I'm not using it. You know, I'm not using it. Okay. All right. So, read the basic text, and there's a new one coming out, too. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I had 2 years clean, and my oldest daughter goes, Dad, you sure got a lot of friends. Okay, all right. Okay. Was at a meeting last week, and a guy named Terry from Detroit was sharing how 8 weeks ago his 19-year-old daughter was shot dead, and how he buried her, and he didn't use. That's a miracle. That's a miracle. You know. If you go to meetings in other parts of the country or the world, you get to meet, like, you know, celebrities and stuff like that. And, you know, I was in heaven last year, I watched a Conan O'Brien show, and there was this band called Ozomatli playing on TV. And, and if you looked at the agenda for the World Convention, they were supposed to be playing Thursday night at the NA convention. I taped that. It's like, this is cool. And the next night, I'm standing with like 14,000 clean addicts at a concert. Nobody's getting high, nobody's getting stoned, and there's like, this really cool band playing with these NA members. That's awesome. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, one more. That way. Okay. Alright. Okay. Don't do this. Okay. I started playing indoor soccer. I joined an over 30 league because at 2 years clean, I remembered that I used to play soccer. So I'm 31. Indoor soccer. They play this shit indoors? So, okay. So 31 years old, there's like, the Detroit Rockers are having an open tryout for, the indoor team. So, yeah, okay, I'm really good. I'm going to try out, So, of course, I put on the application that I was 31, but I put down I was 22. And, the coach is from England. Hey, lad, you're kind of old to be trying out for professional soccer at this age. 22, we'll give you a try. So I did that 2 more times. The second time I actually made the cut. Because I'm really good on the bench, I can cheer, the coach loved that, But you see, I had my son signed up for a Polish class that morning, and I paid for it, so he's gonna go. So he goes, hey, Lincoln Park, where you going? So I'm taking my kid to Polish class. He goes, hey, we'll see you at the games this fall, so, yeah. Anyway. Miracles happen here, but you have to come through the door. You have to stay. Work the steps. Find a sponsor. Listen. The beautiful thing about the meetings in this region is that not everybody gets to share, so you have to write. Now in Michigan, we'll ask the bag guy that comes in off the street, it's your turn to share. No, I just want the coffee, so. I wrote something about building up the meeting bank. Hit as many meetings as you can, because there might be a time when you can't hit it, you can't hit some meetings, so you kind of build up a meeting bank. So, okay, and let's see, get rid of these here. Okay, there's one there. Okay, so I'll probably never be asked to share it here. Those ping pong balls are... Okay, let me tell you about the ping pong balls. We had an addict named Nora B, and she was a chairperson of one of our conventions. If you look at the ping pong balls, it says there's an NA logo on it, and it says, keep coming back. Okay? There was another addict that died clean, that had a little sense of humor. So when everybody stood up for their clean time, you take these ping pong balls. So you're standing up for your clean time and you're getting hit by about 100 ping pong balls. So, isn't that a beautiful thing? Let me finish with this. Narcotics Anonymous gives us freedom from active addiction. Page 76 and page 86 of the fifth edition basic text says that, we've never seen an addict relapse who works the NA program. We've never seen anybody fail to find recovery. Those are the promises. But you see, the thing is, if you read those and you don't get it, then you're lying to yourself. When I read that, I couldn't lie about that anymore. Those words were clear and true. It doesn't say that everything was going to work out perfect. You're going to have a great life. You're going to join NA and you're going to make the pros. Your band is going to sell 1 million CDs. You're going to get signed to a movie deal. No, it don't happen that way. You just might have like the third shift at McDonald's on Dix Road. Thank God. Thank God. So NA gives us an opportunity to have a life. You see, and that's what I thank you for, is for the life. Just having a life clean. I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. I salute you all, and you're all a miracle. We are miracles today. Thank you very much, and keep coming back.
Thanks, Dan. Okay. All right, we'd like to, we got quite a bit of stuff to do. I'd like to recognize first the Mountaineer Regional Convention Committee members. First off, Vice Chair Alan L. Convention Treasurer Bert J. Registration Chair Rick. How are you, Rick?
Just celebrated 6 months yesterday. Didn't get a key tab yet.
Okay, we're good. Registration Vice Chair Jerry. Rocco's in the house finally. Merchandise Chair Rocco. Merchandise Vice Chair Shane. Two most important people besides the newcomer, Refreshment Chair Carl. And Refreshment Vice Chair David H.
Thank you, Wes!
Thank you, Wes!
Thank you, thank you. We do have one little announcement. Weather permitting, members who would like to celebrate Patty G's life will be meeting up here on the lakeside after the speaker meeting before lunch. Okay? Tomorrow. We've asked anyone who would like to recognize someone's celebration of clean time. Please come up here now. Now you asked me, so you better get up here. Come on down. Thank you, Wes.
My name's Denny. I'm an addict. There's a young fella here. His name's Jared. And I'd like Jared to come up and get this coin. I met Jared a long time ago. And he walked into my shop Thursday. It was 3 years ago. He walked into my shop and ended up going to a meeting with me, and he's been clean ever since. Woo!
Hello, family. My name is Brendan. I'm an addict. And it's a miracle to work with the future of Narcotics Anonymous. And it's an honor to give this year medallion to Corey from Cincinnati.
Name's Bill. I'm an addict.
member of my home group, the Grateful Not Deadheads of Columbus, Ohio. Dave is lucky to be alive. He's got 18 years clean. Dave Cox.
All right, at this time I've asked Alan L. and Doug to recognize the states that are represented here.
Come on in here, Doug. I'm an addict named Alan. I'm an addict named Doug. And we are two wild and crazy guys. Hey, we're going to recognize state. Recognize. And when we call out the name of your state,
Make some noise.
make some noise. Bring the roof down. And the first state we're going to recognize is anybody here from Texas? Come on, Bruce. He must be smoking.
Anybody here from Indiana?
How about that peach state, Georgia?
How about North Carolina?
Delaware. They must have went home yesterday.
How about Maryland?
Kentucky.
Anybody here from Florida?
New Jersey.
How about New York?
Michigan.
How about South Carolina?
Pennsylvania.
Is anybody here from Ohio?
I think that would crack the foundation. Let's bring the roof down. How about West Virginia?
Miss anybody?
Hey, did we miss anybody? Always.
Always. Thanks, guys. I've asked Bert J. and Mr. Bill to do clean time countdown.
A recovering addict called Bert. Recovering addict called Mr. Bill. Hey, Mr. Bill. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to start up with about, I don't know, let's do 40 years and come down. And when we hit your year, month, or date, stand up and make some noise. And at least act like you're glad to be clean, okay? Okay, anybody here got 40 years or more clean?
Keep coming back!
39 years clean.
Keep coming back!
How about 38 years clean?
Keep coming back!
37 years clean.
Keep coming back!
36 years clean. $35 years clean.
Keep coming back!
How about 34 years clean?
Keep coming back!
33 years clean.
Keep coming
How
back!
about 32 years?
Keep coming back!
31 years clean.
Keep coming back!
How about 30 years clean? Years clean.
Keep coming back!
How about 28 years clean?
Keep coming back!
27 years clean.
Keep coming back!
How about 26 years clean? Anybody want to join me with 25 years clean? How about 24 years clean? 23 years clean. You are one. How about 22 years clean? 22. Blackjack, 21 years clean. How about 20 years clean? 19 years clean. Patty G died with 18 years clean, and that's my year also. How about 18 years? 17 years clean. How about 16 years clean?
Say it again.
Does this one work?
Huh?
Does this one work here? No.
Say it again.
Does this one work?
No.
All right.
No.
15 years clean. How many years you got, Will? Wes was in a nod. We're going to do 15 years again. How about 14 years? Lucky 13 years clean. All right. 12 years